And hello, everyone. Welcome to the Internet Creations webinar. This is our first, and I would say first annual, but we haven't done it for the second year, so technically we don't know if it's an annual event or if it's a daily event, but it is our State of the Product address, and that is something we're really looking forward to. My name is Howard Yermish. I'm our Director of Product here. I have in the room with me Joe Reale, our Product Manager. Say hi, Joe.
Hi, everybody. Really excited to be here today and share some really cool updates with everyone.
Yes, this is a really big, exciting thing. Also in the room with me is Stephanie Ramos, who is our events manager, but she also makes sure that these webinars go very smoothly. So she's going to be on the, I guess, on the mix, so to speak, as well as helping get these questions resolved and keeping us in line. Because, Joe, we need to be kept in line.
Sometimes.
Is that fair to say?
Pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay. So first thing, let's go over some housekeeping. How do you ask questions? Well, in GoToWebinar, there is a little questions panel, and you'll be able to put questions in there. And just to make sure that this is all working for you, and feel free to ask questions throughout the webinar. We will answer them. We're going to take some breaks and catch up on those questions. But just to make sure that it works, where are you? If you could put the city or country or planet that you're currently calling in from. We're here in the Hamilton, New Jersey headquarters for Internet Creations. I know we have some of our colleagues who are in our Dallas, Texas office as well that might be signing in. Just let us know where you are. So, Steph, what are we seeing? What kind of fun locations?
It looks like we have people tuning in from Bloomington, Indiana, Detroit, Washington, D.C., Kalama, Washington. I've never heard of that town before, but welcome, Mike. Phoenix, Arizona, Victor lovingly refers to it as Mars. Nice. San Francisco, Philadelphia, and Denver.
All right, well, that's great. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. And we know the questions panel works.
We do.
Which is an advantage. So let's talk about what we're going to talk about. You know, talk about what you're going to talk about it, and then talk about what you talked about. So on the agenda today, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about some upcoming features, and we're going to talk in detail about the enterprise efforts that we did in terms of capturing some feedback, but now we're going to talk about what we're going to deliver as a result for that. We're going to give you an update for email to case premium, case merge premium, and case flags. We're also going to then talk about what many consider the most requested feature for Simple Survey, and we're going to make sure that we go into some details for that. We're also going to talk about something that nobody asks for that we're doing anyway, because when we do it, you're going to be like, oh, thank God you've done that. We're going to discuss a few changes to our push update process, specifically what we're trying to achieve with it, because we're going to make some more changes as we go. And then we're going to close talking about how we're going to capture more feedback from our customers, direct feedback, as well as some advocacy groups that we hope to launch very shortly. So with that, let's get started. You ready, Joe?
I'm ready to go.
Are you ready, Steph?
I'm ready.
Well, we are ready. I guess I'm ready. Onward we go. I want to share with you something that is both the company vision and what we look at for our products. The vision for Internet Creations is to empower the world to deliver the perfect service experience every time. And when I think about how that translates into our products, that isn't just, part of the vision. It's really how do we make our products empower our awesome admins, the people who are Salesforce experts? How do we empower them to help deliver that perfect service experience for their end users, for their support teams that they're supporting, as well as those customers? What is it that we're doing in the product that goes to the admins and then translates to their end users and then to their customers? That's a really big deal for me. It's something that has really made me rethink how we look at our products from the get-go. And we know why. It's because the best customer experience starts with the best tools. So for those of you who've listened to what we've talked about over the last year, you probably have noticed that our solutions are really part of a service experience suite. And it focuses on 4 pillars: responsiveness, utilization, personalization, and feedback. And they're not in any order. You can start wherever they go from one to the next. But the idea is, by thinking about what are we doing to improve responsiveness for our customers? What are we doing to personalize that communication? What are we doing to make sure we have good utilization so that we don't have areas where we don't have enough people? As well as capturing that customer feedback to make sure that we're doing things right. This is all of our tools, we're thinking about it that way. It's not a one-to-one ratio. All of the tools are working in that mode. So I want to start this state of the product address with a very simple statement. We are building more stuff. This is something where before 2019, we split our time between our professional services and our products. And what that meant was we didn't necessarily have the kind of speed of development or the focus. So we would do some high priority things, some low priority things, but it was something where the pace of development was a lot slower than it is now. In 2019, we did some reorganization, and as we grew, we were able to take some developers and have them focused on just our App Exchange products, and other developers are focused on professional services. And that has really translated into our products so that really about halfway through the year last year, we started seeing this acceleration with the kinds of things that we could deliver, the scope of what we were building. It wasn't little features, it was a lot of particularly big things, but we also had a lot of backlog to reconcile. So we're going to start talking about some specific things that we're looking to build. So it wouldn't be a Salesforce webinar if we didn't have a forward-looking statement. So please, I'm going to talk about stuff that we might not have released yet. In fact, much of what we're going to talk about is not released. So please don't make any purchase decisions based on anything about that we haven't released. Buy what we have now. And this slide will self-destruct in 3, 2, 1. Great. So let's talk about what we're looking ahead to do. And so I want to go over some roadmap highlights for email to case premium, case merge premium, and case flags. But Joe, when we were getting this started, we realized we were about to deliver a couple of really cool things.
That's right, Alan.
For some of our products.
That's right.
So before we dive into some of these roadmap highlights, we wanted to do basically a little quick demo. The first one is something that's showing up very, very soon, and that's an entirely new setup experience for Lightning for email to case premium. So let me just do a little switcheroo over into this org. This is what it looks like. This is in QA. We're currently testing some things out. So if you're not used to seeing how things look in QA, no problem. But one of the things that's very cool is if you remember how it looks in Classic, you would have 4 pages, like in inbound settings 1, inbound settings 2, outbound settings, and kind of
and things repeated themselves.
It wasn't very consistent. Email to case premium has literally 16,000 settings or something. I think it's technically like 167 different settings that we have to accommodate for in the application, and people get really lost and confused. So we've done a couple things to it. First thing that you'll notice is instead of just having the name of the feature with a checkbox, and then you would have to go to documentation to learn it, we've incorporated written documentation that actually explains what features do, why you would use it, even links if you need further documentation than what is here. So setting things up is a lot simpler. We've got, here's email loop protection. You can pick your setting and pick the number here. Very, very simple to do. Time close to new case creation, no problem. You'll also notice as I scroll, the left-hand side is kind of getting me to the right place. Now, that's very cool. So imagine you're you want to go here and you click on a thing, it's going to scroll you there and highlight the thing that you just did. If you missed it, let me show this to you again. We're going to go to inbound. I'm going to pick something. Let's go over here to say auto add case team members. So it's going to automatically scroll and do that little highlight thing. Wasn't that cool? Hang on a second, I'll do it again. Pew, neat. Anyhow, that's the kind of thing where as you're trying to find the different settings, it basically makes it very easy for you to move around, go back and forth to the different kinds of settings. But let's say you're on the outbound page and you're thinking to yourself, oh man, I want to set up forward to case. Where is that setting? Well, if you were used to the classic way, you had to go looking for it. So now if I just say, let me type in forward, and now it's giving me some suggestions, some quick type ahead suggestions. And you can see I've got some different things. Forward to case markers, enable forward to case. There's a link right there. So if I click on that, you're going to notice a couple things. The current tab that I'm on, that outbound tab, it's going to switch to inbound because it's an inbound setting,
right.
But you didn't have to know that you had to go there. It's going to scroll you right to that place in the documentation. So I'm going to click on that and watch magic. And you're right there. So now if you want to turn it on, the settings right there, I could turn it on. I could adjust my forward to case markers. It's all right there ready. And you may have noticed that as soon as I clicked that and made that change, my save settings button got activated. So again, if you're just scrolling through settings and you haven't made any adjustments, the save settings won't be enabled because you don't need to save anything. Once you start making changes, it'll let you do it.
And this is really awesome, Howard, because I find myself all the time going through and making changes and not sure if I actually changed the setting or just flipped it a couple times. And that nice save settings button lighting up blue makes me know, hey, I actually made a change. I need to commit these changes.
Which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So this new setup experience, we should see it in the product in March. It might come sooner. We're really in that final QA, but we know if you're thinking, hey, this is going to be available in March, it will be there. We're going to let customers know as stuff is available. We'll make sure that it's all security reviewed, all the things that we need to do to make sure everything works. So that's this first feature for email to case premium, that new setup experience. So the next thing that I want to talk about, another quick demo, this is actually for Signature Slayer. And of all of our different applications, they all had Lightning components, except for Signature Slayer. It worked great in Lightning, but we really didn't have a component for it. So we thought to ourselves, how can we really rethink Signature Slayer so that it's not the traditional hit list where it's like, oh, let me figure out which images to slay, go to a hit list, leave the case. So what we wanted to do was deliver something where you would just stay on the case page and do it the very Lightning way. So I'm going to go over here to a different one. And I'm just going to do a little quick refresh on this page just to make sure everything's nice and fresh here. And on this case page, you're going to now notice our new Lightning component over here on the side with a little question, do you need these images? And it's showing me this little list. Here's my little sad icon. I can probably get rid of that. Happy, little star. I can scroll and see some of these other things. Cool, so those are the images that are related. So if I'm like, yep, I want to slay it, I could just click remove, and it's going to remove that image, and then it's going to say image successfully added to the hit list. You no longer have to go to that hit list as a thing. So it's going to, as soon as it's like done, given the confirmation, it's going to scroll up and let me keep going. And I could dismiss this. I could say, you know what? I want to keep this happy face. I don't want to remove that from my list. So I'll dismiss that one. And it's going to dismiss it.
Keep it as a file.
Keep it as a file. I'll get to use it on the case. That was important to me. I can look at this star and say, hey, it's beautiful. It's big, but it's not an image that I need. It's 22K, but I don't need this again. And this X, so I'm just going to go remove and then remove. Cool. I keep working on that. And now that I've slayed all of these images, it's going to give me a little bit of a little encouragement, and we're going to probably work on some timing here because those are a little long, and that's done. And boom, we get a nice little confirmation. There's no more images to display. Way to slay, way to go. You've done the thing with the stuff. Now, that image only shows up after you've slayed images. It's not going to take up any more real estate. So if I were to refresh this page now,
Shrinks back down.
it's going to shrink back down and get out of the way. So if there's no images to display, you've got this tiny little component. There's nothing that you need to slay with Signature Slayer. But if I flip this over, it's going to let me know that I can recover some images. So things that I may have slayed before, well, you can get them back right here. These were images related to the case. So let's say you have someone that accidentally slayed an image. You can click recover, and it will restore it back.
Yep, essentially, as long as it's still in the recycle bin in your Salesforce org, you can restore it up until the time it exits.
Exactly. And what's nice about it is now when I flip back over here, that's still an image that's like, do you really need this? So you have the ability to kind of go back and forth. So as someone's learning the tool and getting used to what happens when you slay an image, you don't have this unintended consequences where you have to get an admin involved in order to get it back.
And if we click the top right, Howard, we have those three dots, it'll actually give you some more information about the app and what it does.
Yep, it'll show you how to manage that, learn more. We've got some nice things built into that component. And even if you want to go over to the hit list, so if you want to go to that traditional way to do Signature Slayer, that's still waiting for you. You can go do all the things. This is a scratch org, so, oh, yep, still works. Cool, we're good. It's got different things that are related. There's our big angry image. So that's a quick demo of the new Signature Slayer Lightning component. I think you're going to really like it for our Signature Slayer customers. Pretty cool. So now let's get into the meat of things. We learned from our enterprise feedback, we talked to a small number of customers, specifically our largest installation customers who have big orgs to work with. And we learned a whole bunch of things. We asked them different questions. And one of the things that we learned is that because they have lots of different teams, they want to use our products differently for those different teams. So email to case premium, and this is a massive undertaking, but what we're going to do is we're going to make it so that you can change the settings of features on email to case premium by record type. So the different business processes that you're supporting, we're going to make it so that you can do something like, say, time close to new case creation, so that for one record type, you might have it set at like a couple of days, another record type might be 2 weeks, another might be a month. Whatever those settings that you want to be, you'll be able to vary those different settings. So one of the things that I'm really looking forward to is how broadly we can do it. So this is a case where we heard these kinds of things: enable auto add new contacts, customizing the new comment page, email template selection, things like that for the different teams. So if you have particular features that you're like, this is the feature that I absolutely want, please let us know about that. That's really going to help. Our goal is to bring it as broadly as possible to all the features of email to case premium. There may be certain features where that's just not feasible because of where it sits in the processing process, that we can't necessarily do it. But that said, our goal is we want your teams to be able to customize how they use email to case premium so that they can use it to its full extent for each of their support teams.
And Howard, I know one thing that really excites me about this is the customization of the new comment page. So one request we hear a lot, and something we even have a request for internally, is having different fields on the new comment page based upon what type of case is being worked. So for example, if we have let's just say we have two departments, app support and IT. Well, IT is going to be updating their own fields, and I don't need to see them on a daily basis. And there's going to be fields that I want to update that IT doesn't need to see. So I want to be able to have my own new comment page that's completely separate from the IT department, and I can see only the fields that are relevant to me.
It's great. The next new feature is for case merge premium. And this is talking about the feature that we're looking at is confidence scoring. And the reason we're talking about it as confidence scoring is because that's really getting us on the path to automatic merge. Now, anyone who's talked to me before about automatic merge, I can tell you that doing automatic merge is not hard to do. Having a tool that says, hey, I've taken this formula, resulted to true, automatically do the merge without any intervention, that's not hard for us to do. The problem is the unintended consequences.
Right.
If you don't get duplicate detection right, cases will get merged that you didn't want to get merged. And anytime we talk to our customers, this was the thing we learned. We talked to all of our different customers about this, and they were like, yes, I want automatic merge, except it can never get it wrong.
Right, exactly.
And they kept coming up with all the reasons why it would get it wrong. So we have to solve for that a number of different ways. One of the ways we really worked on last year was different ways our algorithms could work. So we worked on date proximity. So we were able to do better detection of potential duplicates by having different ways that we can detect them. Well, now what we're looking at is how can we have a low, medium, and high confidence of duplicates. The idea is high confidence duplicates should be something that someone looks at and says, oh yeah, I should definitely go to this tool. Where a low confidence duplicate you might look at because maybe the customer mentions, oh, I have another case that I opened a couple weeks ago that might show up as a duplicate, but maybe it doesn't. Something that lets you really make that duplicate detection something that absolutely works. Now, again, it's not specifically mentioned here, but just like email to case premium, we want to be able to do this for your different business processes. So think about different kinds of duplicate detection so that different teams will be able to have their own custom duplicate detection. But by using confidence scoring, we're also able to say, you know what, we have certain cases that we have very high confidence are definitely duplicates. And once we build, and we're going to try to build in a feedback mechanism so that you can say, hey, you're getting it right. The high confidence duplicates are definitely duplicates. The low confidence, we're dismissing those. The idea is if it's high confidence and your admin says, you know what, that tool is operating at near 100%, I'm going to turn on auto merge. And when I detect a high confidence duplicate, I'm going to merge that duplicate for you and just get it out of the way. That said, this is going to require more setup for our customers. Setup for our customers is always, it means you have to put in that extra effort. We think the customers that want auto merge will do that setup. We think it's going to be worth it, the productivity gains, those kinds of things. So we're going to make sure that we do this in a really sensible way that makes it easy for your end users to spot high confidence duplicates or medium confidence or low confidence, as well as they're doing the merge, that they'll be able to, when they do that merge, effortlessly provide the feedback that the tool is doing its job the best possible way. The third idea, and this one I have a big affinity to, it's really about the out-of-the-box experience with case flags. And the concept behind this idea is we want to support multiple aging processes, and we want to do it based on something going on in the case. So it's record type and or a field value. Something that says, hey, basic operation, you put in case flags, you say, I want the timings to be 0 hours for the initial flag, 2 hours, 4 hours, 8 hours. Have my 4 values set that way. But if it's priority 1, I want that to go faster. But if it's low priority, I want it to go slower. Traditionally, what we've had to do is say to our customers, great, set up some kind of automation to do that, whether it's a workflow rule, process builder, maybe incorporate it into one of your triggers. Well, the problem that we had with that was the admin would be forced to use they would be forced to customize it. And then they would come to us and say, I can't get this to work. But because it was now their customizations, we had our hands tied from a support process, because they might show us a trigger that was breaking. And we didn't know if that trigger was breaking because of case flags or because of something else that they did. And we were sort of stuck because we can't just turn off triggers in their production org.
Right.
We
You
can't.
actually can't do that. Yeah.
Right. But the idea was it was very hard for us to support that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make it so that you can build those different aging processes, something that we see as core to the product. You don't have to use local automation to build it. This is something that we're working on now, that you'll be able to define the different aging speeds. You're also, while we're doing it, we also wanted to bring notifications. Traditional notifications ended up being email messages, and email messages from case flags would just stack up and you just delete them because you knew that once they were more than an hour or two old, they were no longer relevant. It was too late. So you go to your email and you're like, oh, good, I have 37 messages from case flags. Ugh, delete all. So we're going to do toast notifications in Lightning itself. So the utility bar component is going to give you what notifications are currently active. They're going to pop up in your interface because you have that utility bar there. Of course, we have some concerns. Our customers who've been using this and they have already set up automation, we're going to make it so that they can resolve that technical debt by, let's say they have a workflow rule. They'll say, you know what, I'm going to turn off these workflow rules and I'm going to set up the aging process natively in case flags. It's going to be very, very cool. We'll be able to support people. They'll have a lot more flexibility. If they have something where it would normally require turning off a trigger, they could say, you know what, I don't have case flags inside that trigger anymore. I'm just going to use the built-in functionality. The great thing for me is our out-of-the-box experience will be something where an admin will be able to get case flags up and running without writing workflow rules, process builder, triggers. And they'll be able to support lots of different teams and all of their support processes with clicks. That's really important for our customers. They've told us that. This is going to help us support lots of different teams in your organization, as well as quick setup and quick variations. I mean, think about it this way. Imagine that you had some kind of really like massive problem at your company where you're trying to support lots of things. You might want to slow down your speeds because you're shorthanded or because there's a big issue and you're trying to only address one certain case as like priority 1 across the board, where other teams you're going to slow down. Traditionally, you'd have to like redeploy stuff. Now you'll just be able to change a few things in the app, change the different aging things, and then put it back to where it was later. We have some ideas for that too, don't get me wrong, but that's not coming in the first iteration. You'll have to manually change those, but you'll be able to do it in the app. So, Joe, what is the most requested feature for Simple Survey? I know I've heard it.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I think it might be skip logic.
Skip logic. You are correct. The answer is skip logic. This is something our customers have told us for years they wanted us to do, and we haven't done it. And we had lots of reasons not to do it. One of the reasons was extremely high level of effort. Really, really, really hard to do, especially considering that we're a native app in Salesforce, and the way that we have to do it so that we can build things and make it work in Salesforce, there were lots of different barriers. Well, we have some ideas on how to solve that. What we also saw was all of the surveys that had, traditionally people would call it branch logic. You created these surveys that were really onerous to take. And so we would see our competitors do it, and the surveys got longer. And what we would also notice is customers who left other products said to us, hey, our response rates go up when we're using Simple Survey. So we've always taken response rate and made that core to the product. Anything that we do should be improving response rate. So we're really looking at skip logic as a means to improve response rate by only showing questions that are relevant. So what's going to happen? Let's say you have that initial score on a survey. one click from the email. Well, we're going to take that initial score and automatically let you have those initial questions or questions from the follow-up part be hidden right from that. But let's say you change your score. Like let's say you clicked on a 10 and then you get to the page and you're like, it's an 8. Well, those questions might come back or change because it's dynamically going to show questions based on what your answer to that first question is.
Right.
But wait, there's more. You're going to also be able to skip questions on the responses to those follow-up questions. So imagine that you have it show, okay, well, I gave it a thumbs up. So I'm now asking some questions, and then it's a multiple choice question. And it says like, what's your favorite color, red, blue, or green? And you say green. So now we're not going to ask you questions about red and blue unless we have a question that's like, why do you like green so much? Or why do you like red so much? Or why do you hate on blue? Whatever those things are, we're going to let you skip the questions based on those responses. The other really tricky thing about skip logic is it creates a reporting problem. So we brought out insights in open beta in the fall. When we were thinking about insights, we were thinking about that we needed that tool to do skip logic. We needed a means to show you what the survey results were based on what actually happened. Because a traditional Salesforce report with skipping questions, you would find yourself having to make reports for every variation of every answer that people would give. Otherwise, you would get these holes in your reports and not really know why. So Insights is going to help show that data that's related to skip logic inside there. So Joe, what are you excited about for skip logic?
I think the most exciting feature about skip logic is going to be not even so much as you take your survey, the way the questions change or reduce, but from that initial click, because like the most common use case I can think of is, let's say I'm somebody sending a thumbs up, thumbs down survey. Well, my thumbs up survey, I might just want to have a comments box on the landing page to capture additional context of why the customer gave a 10. But I don't really care about anything else. I'm happy they gave a 10, I'm moving on. But for the customer that gave they gave a thumbs up. The customer gave a thumbs down, I'm going to want to capture additional context. I'm going to want to know, well, was it because the response time was slow? Was it because the agent you spoke with wasn't knowledgeable? What was the reason why you gave a thumbs down? And I'm going to want to capture more context on that.
I think it's wildly important for all of our customers to know that we're designing this in a way to make sure that we improve response rates for you. And that's going to mean personalizing the survey as the person takes it. There's a lot of research that supports that. Our goal obviously is to give that customer the shortest possible survey to take, the easiest thing to take. So if we can hide some questions that are not relevant to them, they can skip those questions. There's no need to answer them.
And that's why we're calling it skip logic and not branch logic, because it makes the survey shorter and increases that response rate.
It's also something where the actual design is designed to say these questions are skipped. So we're going to encourage you, shorten your surveys. Don't ask questions that are irrelevant. So I want to open up a poll right now, and we're going to put this there. Of the following 4 features, just check which ones you're excited about. Maybe you're here because you're a simple survey customer. Maybe you're here because you're looking at case merge premium. Maybe you're here for email to case premium. Whatever you're here for, what are the different things that you're excited about? So, Joe.
Yes.
What are you excited about?
It's a tough one. I like configuration by record types with email to case premium. Again, going back to that new comment page, I want to have my own custom new comment page that is tailored to me and my department, has the specific fields I need to update and so forth. I'd say the second thing I'm most excited about is the case flags with multiple aging processes, because again, we want people to be able to just get the app up and running from the setup alone. We don't want to have to require you to go and build more local automation, such as workflow and process builder. Of course, we want people to learn Salesforce and learn all those great automation tools, but we also want to make it an easy from the start process.
All right, well, while the survey is open, Steph, do we have any questions that we need to catch up on?
We are good on questions right at this moment, but I just do see a lot of people still voting. So we'll give them about 30 more seconds to vote. So get your votes in. Nice.
So I can tell you of these different features, like you know this about me. I love all of our products. I have a soft spot for case flags. And the reason is because it's all about prioritizing work. prioritizing work is really a universal business problem. Whatever kind of work that it is, what should I work on next? What's the most important thing to be working on now? These are actually questions that at scale get harder and harder to answer. And I've seen so many support teams focus their support on latest and loudest because people will tolerate it because they're used to customer service being bad. But if you actually have a defined way that you are letting your cases flag and letting that aging work in the appropriate way, you're letting your team just completely focus on the right way to solve those cases and which one to do now, which one to do right after that. And that can vary based on all these different things. All right, so at this point, do we have some answers? Do we want to put the things up there? What do we have? What are people most excited about?
So 56% of people want email to case premium configuration by record types.
Nice.
Coming in second is the multiple aging processes with notifications for case flags, and a very close third, skip logic for simple survey.
Very cool. So this all makes a whole lot of sense. Again, confidence scoring is tricky. I wasn't, we haven't been surprised by it. It's a very tricky problem to solve. I think if we just said automatic merge, we would see that as a really, really high thing. But
with great power comes great responsibility.
With great power comes great responsibility. We're there. Now, I wanted to do a little minor one more thing moment. So the thing for simple survey that people are annoyed by, but no one ever asks about, is how do we prevent duplicates? So they usually report a case saying, oh, I saw these duplicate records, so on and so forth. Well, we have a whole lot of things that we need to do to make improvements to duplicate protection, because there's a lot of ways that duplicates come in. Everything from firewalls clicking all the links to safe link protection in Office 365, where you might see an inadvertent double click, the end user actually clicking on the link twice accidentally, all different kinds of things. So one of the things that we're doing, we're in final QA on this as well, is notice at the bottom here, this little tiny reCAPTCHA logo. We're going to be using, or allowing our customers to use, because you're going to turn this on, we're going to allow our customers to use Google's reCAPTCHA service. And it's the latest version of reCAPTCHA. It's their version 3 reCAPTCHA. And what that does is it silently makes a score on whether it thinks a human was taking the survey. It's Google's secret sauce. We're going to let you integrate with that. You put in your site key and your private key to make all of this work, but you're going to be able to configure inside a simple survey the call out from the landing page so that it can say, hey, these surveys are going on, and on your survey record, it's going to give you a score where it's actually between 0 and 1. Think of that as a percentage, that it's 0 means definitely a robot and 1 means definitely a human.
And Howard, one of the nice things you had actually told me about this version 3 is that you're no longer going to have to, pick from a selection of images, okay, click the 3 that have a house or a traffic light or a street sign or something like that included.
Exactly.
This is just all automatic.
As John Mulaney says, prove you are not a robot. You're no longer going to have to prove it. It's just going to happen in the background. It's a nice way to do it. This is an optional setting. You'll be able to turn this on, integrate with the reCAPTCHA service. Pretty great to do. It's something that we're actually going to encourage our customers to experiment with. This is available only on the new landing page design that we launched back in September. So if you haven't upgraded to that, you're still using the old version, you're going to need to upgrade your survey template to the new version so that you could use reCAPTCHA. So at this point, let's catch up on any other questions that we have before we go into the next two pieces. You're fiendishly answering everything, aren't you?
So if you have questions, please continue asking them. Right now we're pretty good, but let's continue going and see if it sparks some more inspiration.
Cool.
With our audience.
All right. So first thing that I want to talk about after that little pause is we're trying to mature as a product team, and we're looking at a lot of ways that we can do it. So we're really looking to be a lot more, not just proactive in our work, but preemptive. What are the preemptive measures that we can do to reduce your need for support and reduce our need to react to stuff that breaks? So this overall goal of reducing friction, we want to make sure you have the latest version of the product. That means that we won't get cases for things that we've already fixed. So we also see issues where Salesforce might change some functionality that forces us to fix things because they're like, oh, we have a critical issue, we've got to push that out. So what's going to happen? We're going to do push updates a lot more frequently, especially with your sandboxes. So in the past, we pushed once a year, maybe once every 9 months, maybe longer than a year. And a lot of it was, there were a couple of reasons for it. One of it was we might not have that many changes because we weren't making as much stuff. Remember I said at the beginning, we're making a lot more stuff? Well, we're making a lot more stuff. So our need to do more frequent push updates has definitely increased. We also know that as we build stuff, our customers want to use it. And rather than just having them wait and not find out, we want to get it in their org so that if a customer asks us a question, they don't have that friction of, oh, you don't have the latest version. That's going to help us reduce support problems. But it also means if they are talking to support, we'll know, oh, they're on the latest version. So that'll make our troubleshooting better, but also our suggestions and best practices there. This way we can be more prescriptive with our customers as opposed to just focusing on reacting and resolving the issue. We also are looking at updating smaller groups. So if we go to your sandboxes because they're your test environments and we say, hey, we've got a push for your sandbox, we might give you, several pushes to the sandboxes before it goes to production, but we also might do things like say, okay, we have a smaller group of people who want to do more testing in advance and are willing to have things in production earlier. So think about it, don't necessarily think about it as a pilot group, but we might do something that says, hey, you like living on the bleeding edge because you like trying out stuff and I want this in production right away. So we'll push it to those smaller groups as they want it. We want to have some, possibly some batches there where we might do a bigger update that rolls to a couple of groups of customers at once. We're going to have some more flexibility. We are still trying to work this out, how we do everything. So stay tuned. The big thing to notice is we're going to do this a lot more frequently. Over the past few months, we've had some issues where Salesforce kind of forced our hand where they made a change. They said, hey, that change is going to go live at this time. It's critical that we do it. And we've had to adjust something in our product and get you a new thing. We actually have push updates going out to production orgs next week.
Email the case premium.
Right. Email the case premium and simple survey. And these are because there is a Salesforce critical update that is getting turned on.
Right. And
And in spring 20, you need to have that different version. If it's not, stuff's going to break.
there's a few updates.
Yeah. So there's some things that we had to resolve that, if it's not there by spring 20, it's not going to be there. So we want to make sure that those things are absolutely covered. Push updates is really, really, it's a thing that I want us to do. I don't want to say more of them, but because we're doing so much more development, I want our customers to have the latest features and the latest fixes.
Yeah, I think one thing we've struggled with in the past is waiting until we have enough new features and then doing the push. And I think doing more push upgrades with those maintenance changes is going to make a big impact because as we discussed, Howard, sometimes we get an issue that has been fixed, but the issue may present itself in 6 different ways. And so we're troubleshooting it. And it's only until hours and hours later that we realize, oh, this relates back to something we've already fixed. All we need to do is upgrade, problem resolved.
And my last note, just to, if you're on the call and you're wondering like, hey, are you just going to automatically push stuff? We're really mindful about user experience changes. So if we change what your end users are going to see, we're going to have more ways that we can allow you to opt into those. Now, one of those things might be, hey, let's say we have a new Lightning component. So imagine that we redid, let's say we redid the Lightning component for Case Merge Premium,
Right.
where we take what we have right now and we say, you know what, we're going to do it a better way. What we might do is we might just give you a new component. So you can use the old component and then put the new component in when you're ready. That approach to development is going to be something where you'll be able to very easily say, hey, my users are ready for the new stuff. Well, that approach is part of being responsible. If we're going to give you new stuff earlier, we have to make sure that the right people know about it. We have to make sure that you have enough time to test it. And we have to make sure that you have enough time when you roll it out to your end users, you can set that schedule so that you're not at our mercy, especially something that is end user facing. The last big thing that I wanted to talk about is it's something that we have definitely worked really, really hard on improving for ourselves. We've always had ideas in our customer community, and we've relied on that for a lot of time. We've always encouraged our customers to share their ideas with our support team or with their account executives. And we're going to do some things coming in this next year that I think are just really, really just taking the basics of what we've got and just making it right. So in terms of any kind of feedback, we want you to schedule time with the product managers. So we have this link, ic.force.com/product feedback. And maybe we can you throw that into the chat there for everyone to click on? Please don't try to schedule time with us today unless you have that idea. And also the note is, if you have a support question, please don't use that for a support issue. Still use our standard places of support to resolve any issues. Arguably, if you get on this call, you're going to be working with myself, you're going to be working with Joe, you're going to get introduced to our new product manager, Peter. He's our new senior product manager, just joined us about a week and a half ago. We're really excited about that. He'll be on upcoming webinars as well in terms of how we really organize our product development overall. It's so important that we hear from you. Anytime we've had these calls with customers, whether they were the enterprise feedback or we've done these ad hoc one-on-one sessions with our customers, we learn so much about what you want. It allows us to dig into your specific use case, to understand it in a way. It really lets us walk in your shoes as a customer. We do our best to do it, but any additional viewpoint allows us to make it better, and it multiplies. So if we talk to 2 customers about the same idea, it multiplies the kind of feedback that we get. 4 customers is even better. 10 customers, even better. The more viewpoints we see, the better we can make that product for our customers. The second piece here is about customer advocacy groups. So we learned this past year, as we talked to different customers, that they're interested in learning more about what's on our roadmap. They want to provide some feedback in real time, but they also want to learn from other customers. So how are our other customers solving different problems? Now, what we didn't want to do was have a giant free-for-all, and we didn't want to have something where it was a burden to our customers. What we are envisioning is a meeting every month, and different months will be focused on different products. So some months may not affect the product that you're in. Figure that each product will meet 2 or 3 times a year because we have 7 different paid applications that we're going to be doing this for, and we want to balance things out. They will be product specific, so we might have a meeting that's specifically about email to case premium. We're going to review some upcoming ideas that are on the roadmap, get your feedback in real time, take people off mute. They're going to be limited by invitation. So if you are interested, please ask your account executive, hey, I want to be part of this. The other thing that you can do is on this call right now, if you're like, I want to be in these advocacy groups, just type in the questions panel, I want to be in these advocacy groups. That's that's good. That works for us. They're going to be led by our product team. Myself, Joe, and Peter will be leading these. And we're going to be scheduling the first one in February for email to case premium. We don't have a definitive date, but if you're interested, let us know. And we're going to get that on the calendar very, very soon. But the idea is we're going to show you a couple of ideas that are on the roadmap, get your feedback, talk about some other ways that you're using it that you would like. I would love it if email to case premium did this thing. The more we can get from you, the better, and give you some insight as to what's coming on the roadmap and get your feedback in the process. So all of this is about delivering a better service to your customers. Salesforce is an amazing tool to connect customers and, well, to connect your company with your customers. Man, I almost did the Salesforce thing. They're the commercial that they're doing now on all the podcasts. Salesforce is a great tool for that, and we think our collection of service experience tools allow you to go beyond what Salesforce delivers and focus on responsiveness, utilization, personalization, and feedback. Really do the best that you can there. So to that end, I want to wrap things up and promote our next webinar on February 25th, Reducing Friction with Salesforce Community Cloud. We're going to feature 2 people From our team, we're going to feature Liz Gibbons from our professional services team and Christina Christ from as our senior UX person from the product team to talk all about how to get the most out of Salesforce communities and really do some amazing things with that. The two of them have worked on so many different projects for our customers. They're going to share some insight on that. Again, February 25th at 12 p.m. Eastern, and I believe it's already listed on our website, right, Steph? Thumbs up from Steph. Great. And if you have any more questions, we're going to hang out and answer those questions. But this ends kind of the thing that we were hoping to do. We're going to keep hanging out. If you do have any other specific product questions about roadmap or what things are going to happen there, and we're excited to share that with you. But I'm going to close up by saying thank you so much for joining us on this webinar. Thanks from Joe. Thanks from Steph. Thanks from me, Howard. Thanks from all the team at Internet Creations. We really appreciate our customers joining us on these calls, and we're looking forward to sharing some more upcoming product deliveries as they get out there.
Sure do.
We have a question about the updates for Simple Survey, such as Insights. And the question is, when are they available? Well, the latest version of Simple Survey that includes Insights was put on the App Exchange at the end of September is when that issue.
It was in the fall.
It was in the fall. So September, and I think we had another new version in October, and then another patch for that in November.
Right.
So that's all available. If you don't have the latest version, you can get it now.
Or you're going to get it next week.
Or you're going to get it next week. It should be in your sandboxes now.
It should be in the sandbox. I believe it's February 4th or the 6th. I think it's the 4th. We're going to push out to production works.
Cool.
We have another question about the Salesforce Open Case Merge in beta in summer 19, and it appears that the summer 20 release will offer the feature. Can you highlight some advantages of Case Merge Premium versus what's native in Salesforce?
Got it. So the Salesforce native tool it's okay. They've improved what they had in their open beta. They're doing some things that are okay. So they resolved the issue with requiring delete permissions in order to delete cases. They now have a means to merge cases that doesn't require delete, which is great. There's some other things that are still very janky. The big thing to recognize is the merge process doesn't give you any control. It merges everything. So if you don't want certain things to carry over, or like things that don't make a lot of sense to carry over. So for example, you may have certain custom objects that should actually stay on the duplicate case because you don't want everything put together. You have no options. It just merges everything together. We have all of those things that are configurable by object, including standard and custom objects. We obviously support. Their native solution also has no detection means. So if you're trying to identify where a duplicate is, you have no way to do it. You basically have to know that you're supposed to go looking for it. And then when you go looking for it, you have very limited ways to find it in their tool. So let's say you're on the case and you click on merge cases because the customer says, I have a duplicate, I know I have multiples. You could then search for their case number, and I think you can search for the subject. I believe there's other things that they were opening up, but I couldn't reliably know whether or not the contact name was one of those fields. You could always go to the contact record and see all the cases for that contact, but you couldn't merge cases from the contact record. So trying to identify what duplicates are actually existing for you is not something that they've answered. There's no duplicate detection, and there's no means for easily finding those duplicates. To us, we think that's a major problem. So a lack of configurability, no detection, still certain things in terms of the use case when you actually merge stuff. They can only merge up to 3 cases. Ours is configurable up to 9. And we actually have a new feature where if you are trying to reconcile a whole bunch of duplicates and you want to use our clean merge feature, if you use the clean merge where you're just making that relationship and closing them out as duplicates because you don't need all the stuff from all those duplicates, think about something where you had some kind of system that was automatically generating a duplicate because of unintended consequences. You need to resolve those. We are going beyond 9 cases now with that clean merge feature.
Yep, and that's going to be coming up shortly, so probably within
Yep.
the next couple of weeks.
Within the next couple of weeks. Again, that's one of those things where it's not a really major feature, but it is something that Caseburg is going to see. Customers have asked for it. They want to be able to go beyond that limit of 9. The funny thing is that limit of 9, we're also thinking about a way to get around that by doing the merge asynchronously. That's something where right now the merge happens, and the reason we're limited to 9 is because we're going to hit a Salesforce governor limit.
Right.
When we do that merge, we're thinking about different things. I can tell you we're also thinking about what if we could undo a merge. We're still in the very, very early planning stages for that, making sure that if it makes sense to even do. When you auto merge, you're probably going to need some means to undo it. So it is something that we're thinking about in relation to an automatic merge for that unintended consequences. So there's a lot of stuff that we're trying to do, and we're trying to do it in a really sensible way. But still, out of the box today, Case Merge Premium has things that are just better than native merge. Configurability, detection, just overall end user process, we think is just a much better experience. Not to mention the inline editing of features. So the native Salesforce, you can pick some of the different fields, but you can't edit the fields and kind of get the case ready for when you're done the merge.
Right. You basically pick a winning value.
Yep.
For the merge.
Winning value where we let you edit the subject. My team, I'm always telling them make sure their subjects are useful. So if they're doing the merge, they can actually do that subject edit while they're doing the merge as well. It makes it a lot more productive for them.
So Mike is asking about the simple survey he's using is currently version 3.0. Can he update to the most recent update without impacting his current surveys? You talked about a push that's coming soon. Should I wait for the next version before updating?
Great. So the in your sandbox is already the latest version that we're pushing, and your production org will get the latest version of Simple Survey next week. I believe is it the 6th that Simple Survey is getting it?
I think it's the 4th.
It's the 4th or the 6th. It's middle of next week, either Tuesday or Thursday. Simple Survey, as Joe mentioned, is on the 4th, and Email to Case Premium is on the 6th. The way that we did this update is if you are still using we'll call them the classic templates, the traditional templates, there's no change required. You don't have to go in and it's just going to work. What we've allowed you to do is when you build new surveys to use the new landing page format, but we can also let you take your existing surveys and migrate them to the new landing page format. What I would probably suggest is build a new survey, see how it looks, do some testing with it. And once you feel like, yeah, I like this new look, then migrate your existing survey over to the new format. And the advantage of doing that is you can keep getting the data and the reports that you were looking at before with that. Insights works on everything. There wasn't any reason that we needed to limit that. The functionality of the new landing page is what's going to allow us to do skip logic. The functionality of the new landing page is going to allow us to do like what we're doing with the duplicate prevention for reCAPTCHA. There's a lot of things that we can do on that new landing page that the old landing page we just couldn't support in there, which is why we needed to make that move. But if you haven't made that move, you opt in on it. So like I talked about for the push update process, we want to make sure that if there's anything that affects your end users, that's something that you turn on yourself. We're not going to just do it to you. We're really super mindful of that. I think that should cover that question. Yeah, cool.
And version 3.0, I believe, has the new landing page styles. So anything 3.0 or newer is going to have insights and the new landing page styles. So
cool. So we don't have any more. Ooh, rock on. So the question is about in the new version, do you need a license for someone to have access to the object for reports and dashboards? The answer to that is yes, that's still there. It's one of the things about Insights. You may find that what Insights is delivering is better than the standard reports and dashboards, and people are gonna wanna see that. So I want to make sure that everyone knows that to access survey records, you need a license for Simple Survey. To access the Insights tool, you're going to need a license for Simple Survey. That's something where if you need to extend that access, you may find yourself saying, oh, we don't have the right licensing. That's a case where you're going to want to talk to your account executive, make sure that those get provision for you. We can do that pretty quickly, and you get to use it as best. And yes, rock off. So thank you all for being here. And if there aren't, we're gonna just hang out, but we're gonna put ourselves on mute. Any more questions, please feel free to put them in there. But if you were still hanging out, then feel free to jump off, and thanks again.
I was just checking the release notes just to make sure about versions, and 3.0 contains the new landing page styles. 3.15 is where we started including insights. So just to clarify that.
So if you weren't seeing insights in 3.0, that is correct.
And next week it's going to be solved.
It's going to be, it's in your sandboxes now. You'll see insights next week.